This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, January 24th show. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in everything that in regards to your money. I'm here to help you in today's economy. If you're hearing my show at a different time or day, you're listening to a rebroadcast, to talk with myself or the guests that I have in studio, you can call into the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, Stephanie McCarthy, president and co-owner of Living Northwest Realtors. As a real estate professional, picking a real estate brokerage company to associate with is a very important and can be a very difficult decision. What's important to know to ensure you make the right move for yourself? Well, I'm going to have a conversation just about that with Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you so much for coming into studio.
Why, thank you, Tina. It's an honor to be here.
And a little background about Stephanie. For over 20 years, Stephanie has been involved in the real estate industry in many capacities. It started in escrow, then sales rep for a national title company, to selling and assisting with mergers and acquisitions for Coldwell Banker, ERA, and GMAC real estate franchises. Later, she joined her husband in starting their own real estate company. 2001, they started McCarthy Real Estate and later joined the national brand Living Northwest Realtors. Giving back to her community is so essential in what she does. And as another important part of Stephanie's life, her involvement in the community includes Rotary, the chapter, and the North Shore Scholarship Foundation. All in all, real estate is her passion and contributes to a big flow in her life. Stephanie has been voted 5-star Realtor through Seattle Magazine, Global Relocation Specialist, past president of the King County Women's Council of Realtors, 2013, and incoming president for Washington State Women's Council of Realtors in 2015. So, Stephanie, I'm really excited to talk about this topic, a little bit different than some of the conversations that I have with some of our experts in our local real estate market, is more on gearing towards the consumer. But today I really wanted to talk to you about gearing towards other real estate professionals that are listening to the show, as well as people that are looking for a career change. And we hear a lot right now in the industry because it's such a good opportunity to be a homeowner. There's a lot of great things that are happening in our real estate market that people are thinking, you know what? Maybe real estate might be a good move for me in career. So what are the difference between being a real estate office versus being a realtor office?
Well, that's a great question because the term realtor and real estate agent are used quite interchangeably, but that is really actually incorrect. There are differences between a realtor and real estate agents. They're not the same. Although all licensed, both the realtor and the real estate agents are licensed to sell real estate. The basic difference between the real estate agent and realtor is that to be a realtor, you are a member of the National Association of Realtors. Mm-hmm. And as such, the main difference that you hear a lot about, but are likely confused about, is that a realtor must subscribe to the Realtor Code of Ethics. So what does that mean to the consumer? The Code of Ethics is strictly enforced, and it contains 17 articles of various underlying standards and practices. Not to mention the power of what the National Association of Realtors does in helping keep costs down and helping sellers get the best deal when selling their home and helping buyers get the best deal when buying homes.
And Stephanie, I heard a stat not too long ago that almost half of the agents out there are not realtors. They're not part of the National Association of Realtors. I mean, that's a lot. I had no idea that it was so many. So, Stephanie, let's talk about the difference between an independent broker versus partnering with a franchise.
Well, and just to kind of touch on that statistic that you just pulled out, I think a lot of it comes from, there's a fee and there are courses, additional courses. There's money involved when getting into this level of becoming a realtor. And so there is a big difference because there are those who are spending money and time to improve their professionalism. Yes. And then there are others that are there. I'm not saying they're not great agents, but they are more concerned about cutting back on on the amount of money that they're spending each year to become a realtor.
Yeah, it makes it. It's a
agent.
great point, Stephanie.
So back to your question about the difference of when an agent is looking at the difference between an independent broker and partnering with a franchise.
Yes.
You know, just from experience, I mean, obviously I've sold franchises for many years, but when we first started out, my husband and I own our real estate company. We started as an independent broker. And what was very interesting about that, and quite an eye-opener, and actually gave me better tools when talking about the difference of independence to partnering with a broker, is that when we started out, we were creating our branding, our own tools and systems and ongoing education. However, when we started bringing more agents aboard, trying to keep up with the masses of all of the changes that were happening in real estate, we realized that, you know, there are teams, there are divisions through the franchise organizations that spend a lot of time pulling statistics and figuring out what's most important to the agent, to the seller, to the buyer. And that's all they do, is they spend time creating marketing pieces, tools, systems, classes. And as we continue to grow, we realized, you know, it was very important to us to not continuously updating all of that information on our own, but to really coach our agents to be the best that they could be in creating their own uniqueness, but with the power of the franchise behind us.
Yeah, so you can focus your time on that area versus focusing your time on all the other stuff it can be taken care of. It makes total sense. So what about the culture, Stephanie? Because you and Keoki, as owners of Real Living Northwest Realtors, the culture that you have is very unique and special. Why is that so important when you're choosing a company to work underneath?
Well, it is probably the most powerful thing within an organization. And after going through 14 years of our real estate company, you know, we started out as wanting to just get as many people in as we could. But when you start to pull in the perfect group of people, you know, our vision is to attract individuals who all bring a uniqueness, like a tribe. We all have our same vision of real estate, yet everybody that comes aboard with us has a unique offering that we can all learn from that help us to grow and work in life. And when you disturb that culture by just trying to add tons of people, it really can affect the way that even the agents do their business. So that is by far the most powerful thing that we really look at when attracting new agents to our organization.
And Stephanie's, knowing what you know now, what are the three important things that you'd be looking for before making a decision?
Well, obviously culture. Culture is very big. But it is challenging, or it's interesting when you think about those who are just getting into the industry, because there are all different sizes of real estate companies. And it really does depend on the individual and what they're looking for. Are they going to go into an organization that's a large organization that has training and just a lot of people? Sometimes you can just be a number in there. But then sometimes, too, there's there's the power of a large group like this. But for me, it's really important to figure out the culture, finding a place that helps create successful, thriving, and happy people. And I know that seems very vague, maybe, but, you know, if your group is happy, they really do grow, and they teach each other through all of their experiences. And that is a wonderful, wonderful piece. And then an organization that would coach you in pinpointing your uniqueness, yet backing it with the tools and systems that you have available. And I think those are three things that really, if I were to start all over again, those would be the things that I would be most interested in.
And I've heard you say the word uniqueness many times, Stephanie, and I think that's what is so special about your company is everybody is unique and really tailoring what they need to their uniqueness and to be able to shine and show their uniqueness within under the umbrella of your company is just awesome. So what about a seasoned agent? So seasoned agents that are thinking about making a change, what do you think is important to them when thinking about making a company move?
Well, I think probably the biggest thing that stands out is when you start with an organization, you do all of your branding. Your personal branding, your company branding, and making a move can be challenging. But if you find the right organization with a group that really has that process in place of transitioning over by helping the agent revamp their website. I mean, it is a huge process, but the companies that are into attracting successful seasoned agents have a process in place to make it very smooth for the agent. And, it's kind of interesting, too, is as they continue to grow their business, you find that it's not so much about what the commission structure is. It's a very unique business because typically when you go interview for a job, the owner or the person interviewing is looking at what this individual can offer. But a lot of times in real estate, when a real estate agent or realtor comes and sits down, it's a very interesting transition because what happens is they are, what can you offer me to better my business?
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit different. But I think for seasoned agents, the biggest thing is many times their offering is teaching their processes that they've learned along the way and finding the perfect fit for that, or helping them to even fine-tune their niches more.
Makes sense. Now, Stephanie, you know what a systems and tools person I am. So
Yes,
can
I
you
do.
talk about how your tools and your systems at your company help new brokers or even seasoned brokers to really thrive and move to that next level in their business?
Well, I have to say, Tina Mitchell, you have been a huge part in this, in teaching our agents the one-timing your business. But because really, everybody is different. Realtors there are so many personalities in this industry. And as an owner, really what we need to do is figure out what that personality is and what best fits them. So, for example, if you're a people person and you get filled up by walking out and networking and building relationships, which this is what our industry is, maybe you're not so much into shuffling all the paper and doing all of the tedious little work that comes along with it. So finding a company, for example, we have a couple different offerings. We have the ability to help teach and create database management, which is the most important thing. It's our gold mine. We have a transaction management team that takes the transaction, the agent passes it over to our transaction management team, and they take it from the beginning to the end to continuing the marketing. So really, it depends on the personality, and I think that is something that once you as a realtor or real estate agent sit down and interview a broker, you want to know that they're helping create the best you, not the best company, the best you.
Yeah, that's a great point, Stephanie, and really finding out, like you said, where their strengths are and being able to plug into their weaknesses. Thank you so much for all of the information you provide for my listeners and everything that you do for my clients. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you.
And coming up next on the Money Hour, when you are a loved one and it's time to decide if it's a right time for you to get into a smaller place, more convenient home, downsizing, how do you coordinate your estate and organize the transition to your new residence? Ian told me with Caring Transition Seattle, right here on 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.